Hello, everybody. Thank you very much. As I was just introduced, my name is Kimm. I'm the COO and one of the co-founders of Crypterium. My background is mostly financial services. I've run a few insurance companies on an international level. But a few years ago, I discovered the beautiful thing that is digital, decentralized money, or for most people, cryptocurrency. Now, I believe that cryptocurrency really does have the potential to change both political and economic environments in the near future. It is a completely decentralized structure. It is outside the influence of governments or economics. It is mostly digital coding, and it cannot be altered by, say, the US government who decide that they want to issue more of it. They just cannot handle it. For example, did you know that Bitcoin, you've probably all heard of Bitcoin. Now Bitcoin, there are 18 million Bitcoin in the world. The maximum number of Bitcoin you can have is 21 million. That's all the code says. There can be no more Bitcoin than 21 million of them. The US government, the UK government, we can't alter that. That Bitcoin is also the same price no matter where you are in the world, whether you're in the Philippines or the UK. And I can send that Bitcoin from the Philippines to the UK in the matter of seconds at a cost that is significantly less than any other traditional money. It is a truly global phenomenon. It is also growing now at quite a significant pace. It's estimated that there are about 50 million crypto wallets in the world, and a recent survey by Kaspersky of 21 different countries showed that about 1 in 5 people now own cryptocurrency. So on the one hand, it is global, and it is starting to have traction. People are starting to own it and want to do something with it. My company, Crypterium, we want to let people use cryptocurrency in the same way that you can use the dollar or sterling or euro in a digital format in a wallet. We want them to be able to do anything they could do with a dollar with, say, a Bitcoin. But the big difference here is almost every banking app that you've ever seen or every other digital application of this nature is regional. Cryptocurrency, by its very nature, is global. And therefore, everything that we do has to instantly be a global solution. If we were going down a traditional FinTech route, if we were going to try and set up a normal FinTech application, you would start off in one regional market. Let's say the UK, for sake of argument, my home market. You would apply for a license. You would get a team on board. You would create an environment to bring on board customers. And after a couple of years, you might spread then to wider Europe. You feel confident now in your processes. You've ironed out all the bugs in the systems. So you go to Europe. You go through the same process again. You apply for a regulatory license. You build a new team. 10 years down the line, you're now thinking, I can go further afield. I can go to the USA or I'll do Brazil. And then eventually, 15, 20 years down the line, you have a global company that's still actually not really global because there's still many markets that you don't service. You cannot do that with cryptocurrency. The whole point of cryptocurrency is it services the entire globe instantly at every moment of the day. So we had to think about how to create a company that is not regional first, test the systems. We had to go instantly global. So we looked at this from about 5 key areas. The first one, unfortunately for any crypto-based company, is regulation. Now, if you are a normal FinTech company, what that means is, what's the regulations in the market I am operating in today? Now, for us, there are 200 countries of regulations of financial services. And in many of those countries, those regulations are not really defined yet. Even the UK does not have a set of regulations for cryptocurrency yet. So we have to track them constantly, every single day, to see what we can do and what we cannot do. Because if we get it wrong, say, in the UK, then that would have ramifications for what we could do, say, in the USA. So it is a key part of our model. Secondly, being global upon launch means you cannot be distracted by regional opportunities. Again, that is the opposite of how companies normally structure themselves. You normally set yourself up and then look for opportunities. We cannot afford to do that. We have to have exactly the same service to a person in the Philippines, as a person in the US, as a person in the UK. The application has to work exactly the same, and the functions inside have to be exactly the same. So just because one of the team says, I saw a great idea in Japan, let's do this, we can't just do this. We have to stay globally focused. That means our operations cannot be regional either. We have to have a single point of operations. Everything has to come out of one single location because it's the same service absolutely everywhere we operate. So we have to operate one operation. When we first set up, we thought about operating companies, say, in Singapore and lots of different markets. It just doesn't work. We have to have, one single point of location. User acquisition. Now, this isn't that unique in what we do here. Of course, many people are using social media and customer acquires customer. But again, a traditional FinTech startup might be using some traditional media. We cannot do that. I will show you a slide in a moment. We've got customers from 180 countries in the space of 6 months. We're using social media, Google AdWords. We're using let's say, influencers on YouTube, etc. And the final part of what is critical for us is our partnership strategy. If I was just doing KYC, know your customer, for a UK company, I might build it myself. It's not that hard to do, I might build it myself. But if you're trying to do it for 200 countries at the same time, all the different languages, all the different documents, obviously you cannot do that. So we need a global partner. Now, there are a few global partners, but when you get into the FinTech space and the financial services sector, there are very few global players. If you think back, is there a global insurance company? No. Is there really a global bank? No, there isn't. The key factor that we have inside our application, or a key factor, is the ability to put money onto a payment card. Cryptocurrency, as I said, is really the future. But today, if I try to pay with cryptocurrency, say at the Coca-Cola stand here, I'm going to struggle. I need to use a touch and pin card. Now, we need to provide our customers that touch and pin capability. But we're using an existing infrastructure that has its own rules and regulations and is not really that interested in working with this upstart that is cryptocurrency. Really, Visa, MasterCard, the way I describe it is they've built a network, a road network, that we have to pay to use. And if they decide we can't use it, it's a very difficult process to persuade them against it. But what is key here is all of these global companies actually operate regionally. So yes, Visa is a global brand and operates absolutely everywhere, but if I wanted to have a Visa distribution agreement for Singapore, I have to do it with Visa Singapore. And then I have to do the same for Germany and the UK and the USA, and each one takes 9 months. And if I tried to issue a payment card from the Singaporean agreement to a German, it wouldn't take long before our agreement is cancelled. So for us, we had to find a global solution. And actually, we found one in UnionPay. Now, UnionPay might not be as familiar with you. It is primarily out of Asia, but it can be used in almost all ATMs. So we provide, inside our service, a global card, and it's a very important feature, and I'll explain why. So we launched it only a few months ago. We've already issued 15,000 cards, 150 countries, and you can see where the interest is. There's still very little interest in Africa, but everywhere else, people are downloading the application and the card. But why is it really important? And I just want to explain again what we mean by a global cryptocurrency. So let's think of remittance. Everybody understands that people want to send money, say, from the UK to the Philippines, or say Mexico to the US, or vice versa. It doesn't really matter. It's a complicated process. Inside cryptocurrency and inside our application, what can happen is you have a single point of application. You can buy cryptocurrency in that application in a split second. 1 second is all it takes to actually buy cryptocurrency. You can put that into what is called a stable coin. That is pegged, say, to a US dollar. I can then send that to a mobile phone number anywhere in the world, and it will arrive on their phone within 1 second. That cryptocurrency gets there in 1 second. They click on the link, and inside the application is a virtual payment card. It sits there. They can load that money onto their payment card and go to the shop the next day and spend it, or they can apply for a plastic card. We're literally able to send money around the world because we have a global solution, doesn't matter which end of the equation you are. So the message of my story here was not really about remittance, but the fact that cryptocurrency companies, it's such a new area, and we've had to create a whole new way of thinking about business. The traditional tech startup of one local market and gradually expand just doesn't work. So we are learning as we go, and we're learning in a global space. So when we mess up on the occasion, it is a global mess up, and that's, unfortunate part of the whole journey. But it is a global story, and it's a very exciting story that we're part of. Thank you very much for your time.